You go ahead.
All right, we are going to get started here.
Pull the mic. Do you want to wait for everyone to filter in a bit?
No. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to our demo session. We are qBraid. We are based in Chicago, and we host cloud-based software for quantum computing. My name is Ryan. I am the CTO of qBraid. A little bit about myself. I did my master's in engineering physics at Cornell. I studied machine learning there. And over my time after I graduated, I was very involved in the open source community with Penny Lane and Qiskit. And it was actually at a hackathon just like this that I was introduced to qBraid and our CEO, Kanav. And right afterwards, I kind of reached out to him and joined the company not too long after that. And so it's kind of a cool journey of the forming of our company actually very much came through a hackathon. And so I'm very excited to be here in front of you guys.
Hi, all. How are you guys? How are you guys? Are you guys hyped? It's MIT iQuHACK, and this is one of my most favorite hackathons. Not only is it a hackathon for us, Ryan and Kanav, as we get ready for you guys and get these challenges going, it's also exciting to hear back from you guys about what went right, and more importantly, what goes wrong with qBraid. So we've been working on this for a while now. We've been getting better and better at this, and we really appreciate your help. Today's demo will not only include running some jobs on qBraid, it'll be a live demo. A little live demo. We'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. And we'll also show you some of the cool features that we've built recently. And in the future, we'd love to continue to do this, not only MIT, but also at other hackathons. We've been at QCHACK. We'll be at qHACK this year. And we've done our own hackathon called Hacks. I see some familiar faces, which is great. I'm excited to see familiar faces, new faces. And first and foremost, if you guys could, we're the last session for today, give a round of applause to the executive director, Shantanu, and his team at iQuHACK, because they've been organizing this. And we're going to get started here. Woo! All right, take it away, Ryan.
Thank you, Ricky. Let's see. Okay, so our agenda for today, we are going to give you a quick overview of qBraid very quickly. We're going to cover how to set up your account and get started with qBraid credits and get all access to the features that you need. We're going to talk about the environment manager, how to use notebooks on qBraid, submit quantum jobs, and then we're going to briefly sweep through each of the challenges and how you'll use qBraid to use the software that's required for each of the challenges. And then if we have time at the end, we'll talk about some other features on the platform and do a little Q&A. Okay, so the idea behind qBraid was rooted in the idea that there's this classical component to getting started in quantum computing that has nothing to do with actual quantum software development. So when you want to get started writing quantum software, first you have to maybe set up a Python environment with Conda, install some packages, pick an IDE, and it's only at that point that you can choose a device, create your algorithm, and get your results. And this classical stack has nothing to do with the quantum component, and it can often lead to a bunch of errors and really delay your time getting started and be a big burden on your project. So at qBraid, we've tried to solve this problem by separating these two components of the stack. So our qBraid stack, or qBraid lab, is a place where you can get started writing quantum software right away. It works right out of the box. Environments are prepackaged and ready to go. We also develop our own internal software called the qBraid SDK, which is in the process of being open sourced and will be released in the next 4 to 5 months. And I can talk about that more another time. So once again, the qBraid stack, this is a little picture of our environment manager, and that's kind of what we're going to demo to you today is how to use qBraid environments and how to write quantum software on qBraid. So I'm going to give you the account page now.
All right. All right. So first off, we'd like to just kind of give you guys access to our page. We have subscriptions coming very soon, but as Kanav always tells me, very soon isn't soon enough. We'll finish it. Our team will finish it very soon. And hopefully you guys will like our subscriptions once we roll it out. And we'd love to have some beta testers. If you're interested, join our Discord. And I'll show you how to join our Discord as well. So first and foremost, to give access, we're going to go to our profile page here on the right. And you guys can follow through for this, but I highly recommend, especially those who are listening on Twitch and are in person, to follow through for this section and go and make an account. But I think that when we do the lab portion, which Ryan will take care of, we want to make sure that that's actually just a demo, because the images, when it's run on the first time, will take about 5 minutes and you might fall behind. So with that said, I'd like you guys to visit the account details side and add in the code iQHACK. There we go, 23. So I'll just wait here for a bit. And this will be recorded, so you don't have to do it now. This would be nice. Once you have entered, what will happen is your code will be submitted. You'll be receiving credits and permissions to the lab environment manager, which Ryan will show in a bit. And what we've done is we've also made this hackathon page for iQHACK. You have seen now that there's some test inputs into the Microsoft challenge. They will be raised later on, and your guys, as you submit your notebooks, which instructions will be provided on the Microsoft challenge repository, they will be reflected on this in due time. We'll have to run the auto grader, which will involve, we'll take Q&A after. So we will run the auto grader periodically. So you may or may not see your scores reflected, but please be patient with that. With that said, you can see a bit of a hint as to like what kind of format the Microsoft challenge would be. And stay tuned. I think it's a really great challenge, and Maria has done a lot of fun tasks for you guys to complete. Another thing that you see on this page is the launch on qBraid button. This will, once the repositories are made public, will allow you to, in one click, clone the repositories into your account. So that's really easy for you to quickly clone it, and then you can get started, because this will not only launch your qBraid lab, but then you have the repository that you'll be working on immediately. You will need to maybe fork the repository first, and then do some git fiddling, which will also be added into the challenge repository. The little Git icon on the left of the launch on qBraid will take you to the GitHub repositories. These are not public yet, they are private, so these don't really show you anything at the moment. Finally, you have any jobs that you run. So this will be more specific to the individuals who run for qEra. Those who run a qEra task will also have their jobs show up here. And as they complete, you'll be able to grab the task ID, and you can actually just get the task ID from the quantum jobs as well. That is shown on qBraid Lab, and then retrieve it and get your results. If you have any issues, we have our community manager, Alberto Maldonado. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's part of the QS mentorship program, and he runs it alongside Srinjoy Ganguly. And he will be able to help you out alongside myself and the rest of the qBraid team. So that's about, you can further explore parts of our page as well, but that is the basics of how to get started on qBraid. This hackathon page is over here and it's available. So you just have to click here and view the page, and it'll take you to a new tab in this exact same page. So this will be kind of your main control panel as you visit your hackathon, check if you're on your leaderboard, if you're on the Microsoft challenge, and work on your hacking. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good. All right, so that brings us to the demo portion of our little workshop here. So to open lab, you're going to click the launch lab button. I've already done it over here in this browser. I'm going to refresh the page. So qBraid Lab, if you haven't been on it before, is an extension of classical Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Lab is kind of another version of Jupyter Notebooks, but with a lot of enhancements in and of itself. But what we've done, so we've taken classical Jupyter Lab and we've added extensions and additional features that kind of make it extremely beneficial to the quantum software developer. Just X that out. So right here is the your launcher, and over here on the right is kind of the main feature of qBraid Lab, which is your environment manager. So this is a graphical user interface for Python and other types of virtual environment management. Right here is the default qBraid environment. So by opening the dropdown here, I can see a description of what this environment is intended for, tagged it with keywords, and by clicking on this More tab, I can see a full list of every package that's installed into this environment. By searching the packages, I can go through and see exactly what versions of what packages are installed. So if I want to look for Qiskit, I would type Qiskit into my search, and I'd see all the Penguin Qiskit, Qiskit Air, and I can look at those versions and see exactly what I have installed in my default environment. So qBraid Lab ships with the default environment, and that's the free version. All the other environments that you see are usually premium. These are subscription-based, but here at iQuHACK, we've given access to all of you to these environments for free. Okay, so these are my installed environments. To add an environment, all I have to do is click Add, and then these are the list of environments that are available to be installed. So let's take, for instance, Pulsar. We can look at a quick description of this. We click Install. So my install started. I come back to Browse Environments, and now I see my Pulsar environment is being installed in real time.
What is Pulsar?
It's a software that is.
It's for the neutral atom for Pascal, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so small glitch with that. So to uninstall an environment, all you're going to do is click the More tab, and then just click Uninstall right here and confirm your uninstall, and that'll begin to uninstall the environment, and there you go. To create a new kernel, so as we can see, we have the default and the Microsoft environments active. These are activated by default, and they have associated IPy kernels. If I wanted to create a new kernel, for instance, Amazon Brocket, I open this dropdown, I click Activate, and now my Amazon Brocket kernel pops right up. By opening this, boom. Now I'm operating in an Amazon Brocket kernel, and I can import Brocket and get started writing my quantum code for Amazon Brocket. At any time, you don't have to close out your notebook, but within all the environments that you have active, you can come up here to the top right and switch the kernel that you're using. So I can use Python through Brocket, or I can switch to my default kernel at any time and kind of go between them without having to exit out of the notebook itself. In addition to the prepackaged environments, one of our biggest value adds on qBraid is to access the quantum hardware and other quantum backends that we give you through AWS with no additional credentials or setup required with the AWS cloud. So I'm going to show you an example of that. I'm going to start by going and grabbing a demo repo from GitHub. So this is my demo repo. Going to copy this code, come over here to our Git sidebar, clone a repository, enter in my repo name, and clone it.
You can also launch it.
So, and also launch it. So now my qBraid lab demo repo has been cloned directly into my file system. I'll open this up and open up the qBraid Quantum Jobs notebook. And make sure that you're selecting the Amazon Brocket environment. This is probably the biggest source of errors on qBraid, is not making sure that you're operating in the correct environment when you have multiple active. So we select the Amazon Brocket kernel. We did, yep. select. Should switch over. There we go. And now these first few commands that you see are actually commands that are done via the qBraid CLI. So this exclamation point operator, if you're not familiar with Jupyter, gives you access to the bash shell. And so you can execute bash commands from Notebook.
Can you make it a little bigger?
There we go. So first, what you're going to do is maybe do a qBraid ems list, and you can. This is equivalent to a conda list, but using our own internal qBraid CLI. And this gives you a list of the environments that you've installed, and you'll see this jobs keyword that's in front of some of the environments. This indicates which of your environments support qBraid quantum jobs. If it's green, it means jobs are enabled. If it's red, jobs are disabled. We give you the flexibility to turn qBraid jobs on and off. If at any point you want to use your own AWS credentials, you just disable quantum jobs, input your own credentials, and you get going with your own credits. But we encourage you to enable quantum jobs because it gives you a lot of functionality and features and enhancements down the road that I'll talk about in a second. So it looks like jobs are already enabled, but we'll run the command again. qBraid jobs enable Amazon Braket. We'll check the number of qBraid credits that we have because we have to make sure that we're operating with a non-zero amount of credits. And we have a lot, as we can see, and that amount is reflected in the top bar. And now we can go ahead and execute our Bell circuit. And we're going to do that on the Amazon Braket SV1 device. Quickly, I want to give a shout out to AWS because they are one of our closest partners, and they are a big reason why quantum jobs on qBraid have been able to be possible. So a big shout out to them.
Woo! Yeah. Good up.
Thank you, Amazon Braket team. And while that's executing, I'll zoom out here. I'll show you where this job will end up after it's executed, which is the quantum jobs sidebar. So this is right under the environment manager. Click on quantum jobs. This is a kind of meta list of all the quantum tasks that you've submitted, not only with AWS, but with all the other providers as well. So under provider, you can filter your quantum tasks, by the provider. So maybe I look for my QERA tasks that I've submitted, and I can see that we've been doing a lot of testing. So I've, canceled a few of them. A few of them have gone through. I can come back to AWS, which is just the simulator jobs, or my IBM jobs, etc. So I'll come back to all. And under each of these component, or each of these listings in quantum jobs, you'll be able to see the exact details of the job that you ran. So by opening it up, you'll see the device name that was run, what package you used to run the job. So as you know, there's lots of integrations with Amazon Braket, with Penny Lane and Qiskit. You'll be able to recall what package you used to run the job, its status, and be able to retrieve the job ID as well. So you can recreate the quantum job or quantum task object at a later time, reinstantiate it in a different notebook, and get those results back. So it looks like this job is finished. So right here, I'm going to refresh my quantum jobs. And then up here, it looks like we have a new entry. I'll open that up. And now we have the SV1 device. It's completed with 1,000 shots, 2 qubits, and we did 1,000 shots for 2 qubits on the 27th. So it looks like it's working.
Live demo.
All right. Going well so far. Okay, so now that I've showed you a little bit about qBraid quantum jobs and how you can access quantum hardware, this is going to be very relevant to the QERA challenge, but there's also 3 other challenges that we are supporting here on qBraid, and I'm going to show you how to get started using the software for those challenges as well. So I X out of these notebooks, and I come over here to my files browser, come back home, and I go into my qBraid tutorials. Everybody that makes a qBraid account has this qBraid tutorials directory. If you enter it, you're going to see a whole range of notebooks that contain the tutorials for all the different providers and you'll be able to enter any of those notebooks and start executing that code right away and not have to kind of dig around for how to get started using a particular software. We've created one called iQuHACK 2023. Click on that. And then this is going to be notebooks that are going to allow you to verify that you're set up for a particular challenge and the software on qBraid is correct. So instance for IonQ, we're going to click on Circ IonQ if you're doing the IonQ challenge. And what we're going to do is come down here. It says qBraid software check. Make sure you've installed and activated the IonQ environment. So I have the IonQ environment installed, but it's not active yet. So I'm going to want to activate that. And now set notebook kernel, top right, to Python 3 IonQ. We're going to set this to Python 3 IonQ, select, done. And then you'll be able to execute this notebook. I won't be able to on this demo because I'm not going to put in API keys, but you'll be able to execute this notebook and verify that that works. Discard this, back to files. And the same goes for the Microsoft challenge. This one's a little bit different. Microsoft has some unique instructions. So for Microsoft, you're actually going to interface with terminal. So before you get started executing this, right, again, we're going to make sure it's active, Python 3 kernel set correctly, okay? And then we're going to open terminal and execute these Azure CLI commands to connect your Azure Quantum Workspace to qBraid. So the way you do this is from launcher, open your terminal. This is your qBraid terminal. Unlike a lot of other cloud-based services, for example, Google Colab or other ones out there, we give you full access to a terminal with all the Linux features. So you can input aliases that you want, or put in environment variables, and those are going to persist between sessions. We're not going to erase them. Everything in your local file system. So nothing that starts with a /opt or nothing that starts with /users, but .local and everything in there will persist. You can modify it, customize it however you want. So the first step to getting started with Microsoft Q# would be AZ login. So we have Azure installed. You're going to do AZ login, and I'm not going to go through the whole procedure, but it's going to give you back a code that will make you verify in Azure, and then you'll be on your way connecting to Microsoft in that way.
Can I add a few things?
Yeah.
I just want to add a quick caveat with the Azure login. Myself, Ryan, and I have tested this fairly thoroughly, and there is an existing issue which we have raised with the Microsoft team, where in an existing Docker image or in a binder, for example, the AZ login can be take a long time and then run into a timeout error. So you must run these commands first in the CLI, and then you may encounter a timeout error. But after maybe like a couple tries, there's no issue. And I have experience at least that there is no issue after making sure that all your AZ login procedures are working and you restart your kernel maybe a few times. So that's just something. And another thing is, please make sure that when you do run the connect command, maybe you copied it from another tutorial, make sure to add a method equals CLI, because that allows the Azure.connect function to look into the file system and use the CLI instead of actually calling this API call, which runs into like this timeout error because of the Azure.identity module. So just want to let you guys know that is an existing issue, but this is not a qBraid thing. This is just, we're just working on it to make Azure the best thing it can be. So yeah.
Good caveat. Good add. Okay, so yeah, so Microsoft Q# code is importing from this test file that we can see over here. So you'll be able to test your Microsoft Q# setup after you input those credentials. Finally, Quantinium, go through this quickly. You're just going to use the default environment for Quantinium. We already have everything that you need installed right there for PyTCAT. If you do want to use the PyTCAT Quantinium extension, you'll need to execute that command explicitly. You can use the magic command right here in front to pip install in this specific kernel. This magic command is very important if you're intending on installing additional packages from within a notebook. If I instead was to execute pip install iQuHACK, etc., like this, that would install the package into my base conda, not the virtual environment itself. So the magic command is very important to make sure that it's going into the correct environment to minimize these dependency conflicts. So then after that, we just have some iQuHACK code that you can run. And then lastly, our last one, and then qERA. So qERA operates in the same way through AWS as in the lab demo notebook. I'm switching to the Brocket kernel. I'll select that, and then I'm also going to want to make sure that I enable qBraid quantum jobs for Amazon Brocket, and your Aquila jobs will show up right here in the quantum jobs sidebar. So while I'm in the Aquila notebook, many of you are going to be collaborating with each other throughout the course of the hackathon, and also making submissions. And one of the ways that submissions are going to be made is by sharing a particular notebook. So right now, while I'm in Aquila, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go from inside the notebook. Notebook has to be open. I go to File, come down to Share Notebook, and then I'm going to enter the qBraid user email. So to share notebook, right now it's limited to other qBraid users. Eventually, we're going to expand it to non-qBraid users as well. But so I would type in maybe my own other account email, ryanhill@qbraid.com, and send that off. And something went wrong right now. I think it's because I already have that in my directory, but that'll 100% work, and you'll be able to share your notebook with your team members and carry on like that. So at this point, should I talk about code snippets or? Okay, so we're going to do one more feature. We're going to talk about one more feature, and then we're going to open it up to some Q&A about the platform. Our last kind of unique feature on qBraid that we like that not a lot of people are aware of is code snippets over here on the left sidebar. So I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, as a CS or physics major, keep a little place of all your little code bytes that you might copy and paste into the terminal, shortcuts, what have you. This is kind of a location where you can do that. So you can keep track of little code snippets that are relevant to you. So you can tag them for yourself. You know, here's a little cert code snippet, a penny lane code snippet, import Brocket Bell circuit code snippet. And the kind of unique thing about code snippets is that they're not just private to you, but if you make them public, you can actually see everyone else's code snippets that they've posted, and you can search code snippets by keyword, by author, and by tag. So it's almost like a condensed version of quantum computing Stack Exchange, except without the Q&A portion, just with the code snippets portion. So you can upvote them, you can preview them, and use a number of filters to filter by tag or keyword. Obviously create your own and go about it like that. So that's code snippets. Oh, I guess I should mention one more thing, and I'm going to backtrack here, but I talked once about a way using the magic command to install a new package into an environment. This is a question that we get a lot. How can I install additional packages into these virtual environments? And the first way is using the magic command. The second way would be directly from the CLI. So maybe doing a qBraid ems list, then a qBraid, ems, activate, IonQ, for instance. And then you do, once you're there, Python, pip install, et cetera, now that you've activated that environment. That's the second way. And the third way is using our graphical user interface for the environments. For example, Amazon Rocket, click more. In this package list, not only can you search packages, but you can add a package, click add, and then maybe you want to install iQuHACK, search for that. It's going to look it up in the PyPy registry. If it finds it, select it, you'll click add. It's going to start installing, and then it'll be present in your environment right afterwards. Absolutely.
Nice.
So that has been a fast tutorial of qBraid Lab. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have quantum docs too. Do you want to show them that?
Yeah. So things are bound to go wrong, and you're bound to have questions. So just come over here to the handy dandy help tab and maybe open the qBraid Lab user guide right inside of your notebook. Go look through, how to do particular things, install, create environments. We have a lot of reference material, a link to the lab demo repo that I used earlier to submit quantum jobs. And it looks like PyTCAT's done installing in Amazon Rocket. Thank you very much. And if you do see a bug, please report it on our community page. It'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's
And the other docs.
and the other docs. So then we also keep a meta list of all the quantum docs across all the providers. So not just the qBraid ones in the help tab, but IBM's Xanadu IonQ. If you click IBM, maybe Qiskit docs, it'll just take you right to the Qiskit doc page. So we've, as you search through qBraid, you'll continue to find more and more convenience features that we've kind of nested there to help you in your quantum development experience. And yeah, we're so happy that you guys are going to be, helping us test it and improve it. And we'd love to hear all your feedback at the end about, what features you guys would want and what you find most valuable. So thank you so much.
We can take questions.
Can you share the qBraid email that you shared?
Yeah.
Does that sync if you have a
I can. So the question was, when you share with a qBraid email, does it sync? It does not sync. We do not have that feature at the moment, but it will record a timestamp. So every time you share that same notebook, it would actually put it under the same notebook folder name. So the name of the folder will be the name of the notebook, then then timestamp, and then the notebook itself. So that would be how you can keep track of it. I understand it's a little, probably not the most ideal way, but we're working on probably doing something more integrated for users as well. Any more questions?
Correct.
What was the question?
Are the notebooks local? No, the notebooks are hosted on qBraid, on your qBraid file system. However, you can download them to your local file system. You would do that by opening a notebook. Just open this notebook, and then you can file, download, save and export notebook, or download it directly. And this is a Jupyter Lab feature.
I also want to mention, there is like some feature of getting the actual kernels. So you can, if you're really familiar with Jupyter, you may have used like kernel spec list and then like made your own kernels as well through a content environment. You could go through our documentation and find like this one Medium article written by one of the developers at Jupyter Hub, UB Panda, on how to kind of provide some of your kernels on your local VS Code environment. I haven't quite tested it in the last 8 months, but it did work 8 months ago.
No, it works.
I think it does work.
So if we go here, integrations. So this is getting into advanced qBraid territory. So hold on tight, but you can run your qBraid kernels on VS Code locally. However, it takes a few steps, and I've laid them out here in the documentation page. You're going to get an API token, and then kind of enter this into your local VS Code and connect to your qBraid kernels. It is possible, however, it's been not rigorously tested, but feel free to embark on that journey at your own risk. Absolutely.
Any questions? Any other questions? At the top?
Yeah, so the question was, she went and ran the Quantinium notebook and it requested a username and password. So when you're instantiating the Quantinium provider, which I'll actually pull it up.
I think Catherine can also
yeah.
answer that.
Oh, thank you. So for those who do the Continuum challenge, I will be setting you up with the access to our Continuum portal, which then gives you the opportunity of putting your email address and the password. With that, you can access our backend. Any other questions? Everyone really want to eat dinner now?
I do. Okay, question over here. What does 1,500 credits get you? Is that the question? Yes.
Yes. So one credit is worth a 1/10 of a cent
One
Or-
credit is worth a penny.
worth a penny.
So you can actually
got it.
check. This is very relevant for those who are running on a qERA device. So what we do is you can actually check the pricing that's available for the qERA device, which
It's not there.
is on AWS, and we'll post it as well. And
Yeah.
so you will be using as necessary those credits. And if you encounter a situation where you have overspent credits, just let us know. We can provide a bit more as well. So don't worry about those. Yes.
If it displays an error message after putting in promo code, what does that mean?
It depends on the error message, but just come back and try again. And let me talk to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
If you got an error doing that.
Yes.
My question is irrelevant, but what's happening using qBraid over, like, let's say, Google Colab?
What's the advantage of using qBraid over Google Colab?
Can answer that. So in Google Colab, you're going to be restricted to kind of the one environment that you're working on, that you're working in at that particular time, right? Most Google Colab notebooks that are shared with you at the top have all the different installations that need to take place to execute the notebook. That's great, and it works very well. But what qBraid provides is the flexibility of multiple virtual environments in which you're not actually executing the pip installs yourself. The software is coming pre-packaged and working out of the box. So we on our team test all the installations and make sure there's no dependency conflicts. And we create a stable version of a software and all of its other relevant packages to it. We put that in a virtual environment for you, and then we copy it into your file system. And we do this with all the relevant softwares, so you can switch between them easily. You know, hopefully the other features of JupyterLab, as I've mentioned, kind of are intended to give you enhanced experience kind of beyond just the vanilla notebook that Colab or a simple Jupyter notebook would provide.
Question, yeah.
So I just want to be sure I'm using this properly. You use qBraid, get credit. Let's say I wanted to run something on IBM history. I'm going to go through you to run something on one IBM computers. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, so we haven't released IBM quantum jobs just yet. But the idea is that, and the long-term vision, as we continue to create more partnerships, is that all the quantum computers are going to be available to you without the need to create separate cloud accounts. So to access the Amazon Marquette devices, to access the IBM devices, you'd have to create an IBM quantum account, AWS account, et cetera, to be able to switch between those. Your qBraid credits will apply to any quantum device on any provider that we support. So qBraid credits redeemable through Amazon Marquette will also be redeemable through IBM, and all you need is an email and a password on qBraid.
So this is like one stop.
It's one-stop shop,
One-stop shop.
and your quantum jobs are all going to be given to you in the same exact place. You don't have to dig around in S3 buckets and different, using different APIs to pull down your results. We compile them for you, and they're going to be available to you from one location.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you guys all so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Reach out to us on Discord.
Dinner. I can discuss the coupon issue too right now if you want to come down here. Yeah.